Hey guys, it's Daniel here. Today I'm going to be doing a review of a sequel to a movie that I already reviewed. And I think some people might notice that I have reviewed movies, but their sequels I have not yet reviewed. You name it. Sonic the Hedgehog, with like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3. Wow, time passes by. And this one is another one. Because you remember, I reviewed Enola Holmes back in 2020. But now, I thought, you know what, I've already reviewed the first one, I have yet to review the second one, so that's why I'm here today. So today, guys, I'm going to review Enola Holmes 2. So Enola Holmes 2 takes place after the first film and follows Enola Holmes herself, the sister of Sherlock Holmes, who is trying to put together her own detective organisation, but it's not going well due to feeling under the shadow of her brother. But then, one day, Enola gets the case to search for a missing woman by the name of Sarah Chapman, who works at this Match Girls company. So, basically, Enola spends the whole movie trying to figure out what happened to Sarah, where she is, and in order to find this case and solve it, she has to join forces with the one and only Sherlock Holmes, her brother. Now, I gotta admit, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of the first Enola Holmes. I think it's a good movie, but I don't think it's great. But I know a lot of people who might be long-time fans of my channel who may or may not remember that video, but a lot of people might think, well, hang on a second, Daniel, you're saying that you didn't enjoy the movie, you didn't love the movie, yet in your review you said you loved it. I'm going to admit, there are so many poorly aged reviews in this day and age compared to what it was like back then, and that Enola Holmes review is definitely one of the few examples. I have no idea what the heck I was talking about in some reviews whenever I give something like a high rating, because nowadays they don't exactly keep that high rating anymore. I wouldn't give Enola Holmes nearly a 5 out of 5. I give it like a 4 3/4 of a star. I just give it like a 3.5. But it's not saying that it's a bad movie, because there's some great elements. The acting is fantastic, the cinematography is great, the score is great, but it also has some annoyances, like the forced romance that I never really cared for, which were led to annoying moments, and some areas of the whole comedy felt very flat. Unfortunately, I am disappointed that I didn't enjoy the movie as much as I did back then. But when I heard that they were making a sequel to Enola Holmes, it was like, oh yeah, sounds really cool, because I loved the first film. Well, I loved it back then, but I don't now. But unfortunately, I never saw the sequel movie when it came out. So today, I thought, you know what? I thought I'd watch the movie and give it a review in this video. So, after watching Enola Holmes 2, I think it's meh. It's passable. It's okay. Truth be told, I'm not as favourable of the Enola Holmes franchise as I thought I would have been, but this movie was just okay. It's not great, but it's okay. But I will get into what I like and dislike about the movie. Let's talk about the things I like first. First of all, the cinematography I think is very stellar. It has this kind of like sharp, witty cut scenes and areas of detail, and the look of the town, the look of the location felt like it was like, oh, they definitely did a good job of detailing what times back then looked like, and giving it like what really felt like Paul King's work, you know, like Paddington 1 and Paddington 2 and Wonka, when they would have like these like shots of like quick edits, quick cuts, and shots of items and all this stuff now and again, give it a good sense of personal detail, which I actually really liked. I also thought that the acting, for the most part, was still fantastic. Of course, we have the main girl herself, Millie Bobby Brown. I think that she did a great job working with the material that she's been given, because although Enola as a character can have some moments where I'm just like, and I'll get to that later. Millie still does a fantastic job performing as the character, and in my opinion, whenever Enola has to have some serious, dramatic, emotional moments, Millie Bobby Brown really does show off her dramatic acting chops. Also, I think she does do a good job at making her come off as very, like, witty and bubbly whenever she's interacting with the audience watching, kind of like that kind of Dora the Explorer element. I mean, granted, it would sometimes make it look like the film doesn't look like it's been rated 12, it looks more like a PG movie, but, you know, she definitely does a decent job of performing the breaking the fourth wall elements. I also really like the performance of David Thewlis, who played Lupin in the Harry Potter films, as like this like inspector character. I don't really know too much about his name, but although the character isn't entirely interesting, David Thewlis does a fantastic job giving him this kind of smooth, charismatic performance, which definitely made it look like he was having fun with the role. However, I think that this movie's biggest strength, in my opinion, that definitely saved a lot of it, has to be Superman himself, Henry Cavill, as Sherlock Holmes. I think that he did a fantastic job making him come off as, again, very posh and very, like, questionable, because Sherlock is a very questionable person. We don't know what he's feeling or any emotions that he's feeling, and he seems very enthusiastic about this case and looks clever whenever he's like performing his lines or looking into a mystery, and his charismatic performance is impeccable. But I also love that Sherlock is given a little bit of a softer side, because you can tell that despite being a well-known detective who is kind of in the trouble or like serious mode, you can tell that he does care about his sister deep down and just wants what's best for her. And I think that Henry did a fantastic job performing it, and it definitely was, for the most part, a very accurate Sherlock Holmes. I think he's a perfect Sherlock Holmes. I'm not gonna lie, there were a few surprises that kind of shocked me when we were searching through the area, trying to find out what's going on and where Sarah could be. And I guess there were a few surprises that, in my opinion, definitely made sense. I mean, honestly, some parts I did kind of check out of the movie, so the mystery wasn't entirely engaging, but it was very interesting nonetheless. However, I will admit, despite the fact that some areas of the mystery isn't entirely interesting, in terms of the Sarah Chapman case, I have to give this movie so much respect for taking inspiration from real-life British culture. For those of you who don't know, some areas of this movie were inspired by the real-life Match Girl strike led by Chapman herself. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't read too much into that area of history, so I don't know how accurate this movie is. In fact, come to think of it, the film makes it clear at the beginning that the fun parts are what's accurate and inspired by the case. But I really do like that not only did this movie take inspiration from a real-life working environment that is not very suitable for some people because people can be treated horribly and can get sick from it, but I also love how it has kind of like a inspiration for women to like stand their just ground and speak up for what they truly believe could be a better working environment, and if it's bad or good. I really have to give this movie such props for promoting such a determination and confidence in these people, which I gotta say, I really do respect that. And the last and probably one of the greatest elements about this movie, as well as the first film, is the score. It was very, very nice and very sweet to listen to. It has like this kind of happy tone whenever they would like revolve around Enola having like a bit of fun, finding this mystery and doing what she can. And some emotional moments had some really good dramatic scores, which I really liked. But guys, I will admit, those are all the good things I have to say about the movie. As for the rest of the movie, it's fine, but it's just, despite the fact that I really do appreciate this movie for promoting and being inspired by real-life confidence in the working society, I still wasn't fully engaged in this mystery. And I think the reason for that is because every time we're having the mystery going on, it always comes to a bit of a stop so that we can revolve around the whole romantic storyline between Dewsbury and Enola, because remember, Enola had the love interest in the first film. And here, it's kind of just the same as it was in the first film. It's nothing different. It's kind of the same relationship. You have Enola that is like very cut off from Tewkesbury and doesn't want to get into too much romantic, and calling her a nincompoop and saying that she, like, you know, he embarrasses himself a lot. And then you got Tewkesbury that's just being a normal person, and he's definitely being nice and trying his best to support Enola, but Enola's just like, you know, go away, I don't need romance as a detective. And they just play the scenes over and over, and I'm just like, didn't we do that like in the first film? In fact, I thought their romance would have actually grown from the first film, but to me, it's just kind of the same relationship. Plus, while Millie Bobby Brown does a fantastic job working with what she's been given, I personally, in these moments, were finding it very hard to stand or put up with Enola, because she just kind of came off as a bit stuck up, whiny, and rude whenever she's like putting Tewkesbury in the ground, or when she's just like coming off as a bit like, you know, I'm a lone wolf kind of character. And I get that maybe that's what the Holmes family is like as detectives, but we already kind of have Sherlock for that, and honestly, the charisma of Sherlock in many of the adaptations and versions of the story is more engaging and more entertaining to watch. Whereas with Enola, her whining and stuck up, like, you know, smug personality and lone wolf behaviour kind of makes her obnoxious at times. And I also feel like that many elements of this movie kind of felt like a rehash of the first film, especially around the third act, which I won't give away, but the kind of setup and look of it, like, despite adding a few new elements to make it more exciting, which is definitely exciting, still, the whole story of the reveal about what's going on kind of felt like a rehash of the first film a little bit. And because there were a few annoying elements and rehashed elements and kind of just moments, I just wasn't fully engaged in this mystery, mainly because the characters surrounding it are either forgettable, annoying, or don't share too much well-known chemistry that honestly could keep me engaged, which I want to be engaged, but I just can't. And that's a shame, because like I said, I love that the movie is inspired by a real-life event that motivates women in the 1800s time period to stand up for what they believe is right in a poor working environment. But I can't exactly call this movie a true British historical movie celebration that will stand the test of time just because it's inspired by a real-life motivational movement in the 1800s. Especially considering that only a few fraction of this event inspires this movie, whereas most of the movie has fictional elements that is like this forced relationships and not well-told story. I also will admit, I kind of wish Helena Bonham Carter had more screen time. I mean, we know that there's going to be a sequel, which, yes, they are making a sequel, a third film, and we're probably going to see more, but for what we get here, I thought that the character was going to have more to do in the story, but it turns out, besides one moment, not really. Which, the moment that features her in it is awesome and exciting, and I think Helena did a fantastic job at giving charismatic poshness to this character, and really making us feel like, yes, this is Enola's mother, because they both share similar traits, and she is very fun. I just wish we could have seen more of her, but we're probably going to see more of her later down the line. So yeah, I didn't really care too much about this movie. I mean, it's okay, and, you know, not terrible. And I do kind of hope that we do get to see movies that is not Netflix-based, that is given well-hearted and well-put-together story for Millie Bobby Brown to star in, because, yes, I will admit, I do agree that she has been kind of typecast in Netflix movies. I haven't seen The Electric State yet, but Damsel I wasn't a big fan of, and Enola Holmes movies, they're good, but nothing special. Like, I want to see like a really fantastic, well-made movie starring Millie Bobby Brown, because she has talent. This is nothing against her. We just need like a great script, like maybe an A24 movie or an HBO movie. Overall, this movie it's okay, but it's not great, and unfortunately, I think I just kind of liked it a bit less. So, I'll give this movie like a 3 out of 5. It's okay. It has good elements, Millie's still great, Henry Cavill's Sherlock Holmes is the standout of this movie, he's so entertaining, But yeah, it's just eh. But anyway, guys, what do you think of Enola Holmes 2? Do you like it? Do you hate it? And what's the most sequel of a Netflix movie you've ever seen? Let me know in the comment section below. More videos to come, and I really call myself a well-known detective, as I sure to solve the mystery of why I've not been making many reviews. Till then, this is the Filming Daniel making movies and TV shows and doing videos. Till then, peace out, man. Right, time to solve some more mysteries. I hope that Sherlock impression was good. If not, I hope it's a good impression of a posh detective. Yeah.